April 5th, 2025. This is not going to be a long one. This is a quick one, just kind of an update. Everything is reeling and basically dealing with the tariffs and all the market stuff. So pretty heavy into that. There's also some other interesting information, as always, because the information is always interesting. That's right. Well, we're going to do this one here, and then we got to take off and go on down to see Mama. But sit back, lock in. We'll give you the latest of the latest since yesterday. Again, not a lot, so, but it'll keep you up. You'll understand. And then tomorrow night we'll do a bigger one. So, hit the like button, do all the subscribe stuff, yada, yada, yada. And we will get started here. Most comprehensive news on YouTube, the crisis report for April 5th, 2025. China is going to implement a 34% tariff on the United States imports. That'll start on April 10th. United Kingdom comedian and actor Russell Brand has been charged with the R word. He says it didn't, he's innocent. That's what he's saying. President Trump says he just had a very productive call with Vietnam, stating that they're willing to reduce tariffs to zero if a deal can be reached with the U.S. There are other countries that are starting to do this. I think, as we stated yesterday on PrepperNow, this is a tactic. He's going in and shocking and awing everybody and saying, okay, well, you bring yours down, we'll bring ours down. And some people are listening, others are not. They're going to fight. But honestly, since World War II, smaller countries, other countries in Asia and other places have, used tariffs to make money off of our goods and our American consumerism. And this is going to, he's hoping that it will basically restack the deck and make it so things get back to a little bit more on par. And then also there's the fact he wants to bring manufacturing back to America, which makes some places, start to manufacture here more. And then also there's people that think because of the inflation and all of that, the only way to really bring it down is to force a recession. And that is what he's going to do. He's going to force a recession, bring down inflation that way, which will do it. It'll be painful. And, get it all out of the way in the first year and then start to come back and, get going again. So we'll have to see if it works. Theoretically, it could, but we'll see. Nearly $10 trillion has vanished from the U.S. stock market since Trump's inauguration. Trump has extended the TikTok sale deadline by 75 days, citing tremendous progress in negotiations toward a deal with China. A federal judge has ordered that a man previously determined to be a member of MS-13 from El Salvador be returned by Monday at taxpayers' expense. U.S. stock market lost over $3 trillion on Friday. Boston Hospital has launched an emergency investigation after at least 10 of its facility's nurses have been diagnosed with deadly brain tumors. Barack Obama admits he is in a deep deficit with his wife, Michelle Obama. EU regulators plan to fine Elon Musk's ex $1 billion and mandate changes under the Digital Securities Act for illicit content and disinformation violations. Russell Brand charged with 2 counts of rape, indecent assault, and 2 counts of sexual assault. Trump says the Houthis will never sink a U.S. ship again. EU financed targeted campaigns against political opponents and uncomfortable voices. That is a scandal that's coming out about von der Leyen. Netanyahu plans to visit the White House on Monday. He's going basically straight from Hungary across to us and then visiting Mr. Trump in the White House on Monday. The dollar is recovering after the tariffs-fueled slump. It is up 1% versus the pound. Marco Rubio says the United States will not let Greenland become dependent on China. White House press secretary says that great news, the economy is starting to roar with a strong 228,000 jobs added in the month of March, well ahead of the market's expectations. So there was a positive market thing for the jobs. It's good considering all of the government jobs that have been are being worked, eradicated. Canadian economy has lost 33,000 jobs since March. That is their biggest loss since 2022. Trump. Lam told me Vietnam, Lam is the name of their leader, they want to cut their tariffs down to zero if they're able to make an agreement with the United States. Retail investors bought $4.7 billion in stocks on Thursday. That's the highest level over the past decade, according to JP Morgan. United States tariffs are likely to cause higher inflation, slower growth, according to the Federal Reserve chairman. Nintendo delays Switch 2 pre-orders over tariff concerns. A lot of places are stocking up and getting stuff in over concerns of the tariffs. JP Morgan says it now has projected a U.S. recession in 2025. So what Trump is doing with tariffs is a well-planned plan by his advisors, his financial advisors. It's not like it came to him just like that. He's quite a showman, but they are very serious about it. At first, there will be declines in some countries, true, but the Trump administration's plan is clear: restart manufacturing in the country. That's why it is precisely those companies that offer only marketing to the market, like Nike, that are affected the most. In a few months, closed steel factories and others from the 70s will begin to reopen. While the marketing companies will fail, manufacturing companies will grow. Tariffs that will be much cheaper to produce and sell at home than to import from abroad. The United States will go through a reincarnation, shocks in the economy, but after a few years, all this will stabilize and the country will return to a manufacturing economy again. Same as China and Russia, same as the New World. Well, in the U.S., it is clear that in order to stabilize foreign debt, manufacturing must be restored, and for that, big steps must be taken like this one. Personally, see this as a big plus for the U.S. And this guy is not a fan of America. Another thing to consider, too, is that if you're in a war with China, you need to have a strong industrial base. I have a post coming up by Defense Secretary Hegseth that basically says we are going to be going to war with China. So I also think if there are not implications about getting our manufacturing back for such production needs in a war. United States stock market lost over $9 trillion since Trump's inauguration. Economic crisis is coming. World's 500 richest people have lost around $500 billion in the last 2 days, according to Bloomberg. 27 people were killed in the latest Israeli strikes in Gaza, 14 of them children, more than 100 injured. NATO chief Mark Rutte called Russia's NATO's most direct threat at a press conference. We can't be naive about China, NATO Secretary General Rutte said. In addition, U.S. Secretary of State Rubio called China working on the largest military expansion in history, and we must resist it. By the way, this is the sister channel to the WW3 Idiot channel. That guy took that channel, which had almost 100,000 subscribers on Telegram, and used to do great work, and turn it into his personal DJ channel. And let me tell you, he is not good at DJing. He sucks. And so it's like already lost a quarter. It's just the guys. I don't know. Someone needs to intervene. The poor guy. He is not all there. He's suffering a meltdown. Carney, global economy is fundamentally different today than it was yesterday. The system of global trade anchored on the United States is over. Old relationship of steadily deepening integration from the United States is over. The 80-year period when the United States embraced the mantle of economic leadership is over. While this is a tragedy, it is also a new reality. Hyundai Heavy Industries said that it can build 5 Aegis destroyers for the U.S. per year and is ready to expand. It also said that it can provide 1 ship per year to the U.S. using its current spare dock, and that it has more room and cost effectiveness than its competitors, and that it has over 250 veteran elite engineers required to integrate Aegis destroyers and combat systems. It is also said that a total of 12 domestic and foreign surface ships are currently under construction by Hyundai shipyards. Take note that HHI is already rebuilding the navies of Peru and the Philippines. Hanwha Ocean agreed to focus on submarines, while Hyundai Heavy Industries agreed to focus on surface ships. Both companies are involved in the U.S. Navy's massive MRO program. Israel first violated the 1979 peace treaty by seizing Rafah in the Philadelphia corridor. Now it accuses Egypt of breaching the deal by deploying more troops in Sinai. Here, satellite images show the Merkava MK4's Namer IFVs near Egypt's border violating the treaty's security annex. And of course, there's worry that they are, going to go to war with Egypt. So, European markets have plunged again. Paris is down 3.8%. Frankfurt was down 3.3%. And London was down 3.7%. EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas says Rubio provided assurances that the U.S. will not make concessions going against the interests and red lines of Ukraine and Europe. Rutte says that he does not believe U.S. tariffs violate NATO treaty. Italian stock market plunged 7.79% today. U.S. Secretary of State Rubio says we will know in a matter of weeks, not months, if Russia is serious about peace. If this is just a delay tactic by Russia, President Trump is not interested. If Russia is not serious about peace, we will have to reevaluate our position. California Governor Gavin Newsom will ask countries to exempt California from retaliatory tariffs. U.S. Secretary of State Rubio says China is working on the largest military expansion in its history, and we must confront it. Poland will launch an information campaign abroad to deter migrants from trying to cross into the European Union through its border with Belarus, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said on Friday. Fed Chairman Powell says that Trump's tariffs are larger than expected and risk higher inflation and lower growth. Hamas armed wing spokesperson Abu Obaida says half the living Israeli captives are in the areas of Israeli army recently ordered evacuated. We've decided not to move them. They're under tight but extremely dangerous security. If Israel cares about their lives, it must negotiate now for their evacuation or release. Netanyahu's government bears full responsibility had it honored the January deal, which would already be home. Most would already be home. Kingdom of Cambodia's government is set to cut tariffs on select U.S. imports to 5%. That is down from 35%. 5.4 billion USD was added to the crypto market in the last few days. United States SEC has declared fully reserved liquid dollar-backed crypto stablecoins are not securities. That is the SEC, or Securities and Exchange Commission. United Kingdom UK Maritime Trade Operations, that's the UK MTO. Center reports that several vessels transiting the Strait of Hormuz experienced GPS and electronic navigation disruptions today. The interference is suspected to be caused by electronic jamming, likely originating from Iran amid heightened regional tensions and increased military presence. Since April 1st, Yemeni armed forces have shot down 3 more United States-made MQ-9 Reaper drones, bringing the total to 18 since the beginning of their operations in support of Gaza. With each drone estimated at $33 million, the cumulative loss now exceeds $594 million. An infographic released earlier showed the location of the first 16 drones down since April 1st. Germany AfD party has continued to gain ground in polls and is now on par with the CDU for the first time. Friedrich Merz, CDU former BlackRock executive, is currently accused of breaking the many promises he made before the election, as he wants to form a coalition with left-wing SPD party. Who could have saw that coming? United States Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth will visit Panama next week, Pentagon said Friday, after President Trump exerted significant pressure on the country to curb ties with Chinese interests. Ukraine was never promised that NATO membership would be part of its peace agreement with ceasefire, according to Rutte. At the same time, the Secretary General of the alliance noted that Ukraine's path to NATO is irreversible. There are 2 separate things: peace agreement and a long-term perspective. We have a formulation from the Washington summit about a long-term perspective and when exactly that will happen. We don't know. There is an irreversible path to NATO, he concluded. Secret memo from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth tells military to get ready for war with China over Taiwan. Everything else, Russia, Iran, terror groups, secondary. Memo copies parts of 2024 Heritage Foundation report almost word for word. That report's co-author now runs Pentagon policy. Heritage's playbook is now Pentagon guidance. U.S. forces are ordered to focus on Indo-Pacific firepower, subs, bombers, bunker, busting bombs. Taiwan told to spend 10% of GDP on defense. NATO is told to step up. If Russia's attacks Europe may be on its own. U.S. troops stay home unless it's China or direct homeland threat. Military units will now take on border patrol, deportations, and drug bus tasks handled by DHS, Department of Homeland Security. Until now, the Pentagon is being pulled into domestic enforcement. Memo names 3 new hotspots: Greenland, Panama Canal, Cape Horn. U.S. forces must be ready to fight in the Western Hemisphere. Trump's Pentagon is betting it all on one scenario: stop China from taking Taiwan. The rest is risked. British police are now making more than 30 arrests a day over offensive posts on social media and other platforms. And no, this is not a joke. Thousands of people are being detained and questioned for sending messages that cause annoyance, inconvenience, or anxiety. Custody data obtained by the Times shows that officers are making about 12,000 arrests a year under under Section 127 of the Communications Act 2003, Section 1 of the Malicious Communications Act 1988. Acts make it illegal to cause distress by sending grossly offensive messages or sharing content of the indecent, obscene, or menacing character via the internet, telephone, or post. Officers from 37 police forces made 12,183 arrests in 2023, the equivalent of about 33 a day. Marks an almost 58% rise in arrests since the Rona 2019 forces logged 7,734 detentions. Statistics have provoked criticism from civil liberties groups, Free Speech Union, and Big Brother Watch that the authorities are over-policing the internet, threatening free speech using vague communication laws. Excuse me. Japan's Sakurajima, Japan's Sakurajima volcano erupt 54th time this year. Morning, Mount Sakurajima, located in Kagoshima Prefecture on Japan's Kyushu Island, erupted for the 54th time this year. The volcanic plume reached a height of 2,600 meters, but no volcanic rocks were ejected. Japan Meteorological Agency has issued a level 3 alert warning against approaching the volcano. Obama on Trump. Imagine if I had done any of this. Imagine if I had pulled Fox News credentials from the White House, press corps. It's unimaginable that same parties that are silent now would have tolerated behavior like that from me or a whole bunch of my predecessors. Germany may pull 113 billion euros in gold from the United States. Germany is shocked by Trump's unpredictable policies, is reconsidering its trust in the U.S. as a reliable partner. Germany holds the world's second largest gold reserves with 37%, over 1,200 tons, worth 113 billion euros. Stored, New York. These reserves are meant to guarantee liquidity in dollars, on the other hand, or other hard currencies. Now, some in Berlin question whether that gold is truly safe. And that, my friends, is your crisis report for April 5th, 2025. God bless you all. I'm going to go get on the road and get rolling. Glad I got this out before. Please hit the like button, subscribe if you are new here, darken out the bell, and get the notifications. This channel is just getting jacked with because, well, we tell you everything. It's the most comprehensive news, and they don't want you to get it from people like me. They want you to go to MSNBC, MSNDNC, DNC, MSN, and all the other crappy places that lie to you. So please, hit the buttons, come back for more. We'll be back again tomorrow afternoon probably for another crisis report, and we appreciate you being here. God bless you all. Thanks to my mods. Thanks to my members. We will see you on the next one. Yes, please consider membership. It is a great way to keep us alive and well. Have a great day.